Welcome to the Unbreakable Me podcast. My name is Kyle Zagrodzky, and as you probably know by now, I'm the founder and CEO of OsteoStrong, among other things. We decided to go ahead and create this Unbreakable Me podcast because it was our philosophy that in order to live a life of maximum freedom, you had to adopt what we call a series of unbreakable habits. And in our pursuit of helping you learn these and to adopt the certain unbreakable habits in your life, we seek out experts. I'm not an expert in everything, and certainly no one else is. And so what we try to do is just be human beings. We look around for who has mastered certain things, who areas of their life, be it physical, emotional, relational, or business, and bring those masters to us to teach us, to help us live what we call the unbreakable life. Now, I'm going to have a guest on today, David Harry Stewart. He is the founder and CEO of AGEIST. Now, I'm a huge fan of this guy. He thinks about things very similar to me. When I started OsteoStrong specializes in skeletal strength conditioning. But the why behind it is that I wanted to enable people to live at their maximum level of physical freedom. But David, what he does is he has actually started a movement in the 50 plus demographic of people that are living the maximum life. They're really second life 2.0 after 50. And he finds these people and brings them to light and inspires us to be more in the second halves of our lives. So please, everybody, let's welcome David Stewart. David, welcome.
Thanks, Kyle. Great to be here.
Yeah, it really is. You know, I was in like this really good mood today, and I was actually just about an hour or two before we got together, I was thinking, why am I in such a good mood today? And it usually has to do with anticipation. Like if you're anticipating something you're looking forward to, it elevates your emotions. It's just a natural thing. We all experience it. Like if you're about to go on a vacation or see something you're excited about. And I started analyzing my emotion, like, why am I feeling this way? And I think it's because I was going to be talking to you, and I was really excited about that. I got to go to your website again, and I got to go look at your TED Talk again. And I don't know what it is about you or your passion, the way you explain things. It just puts me in a good mood. And maybe it's because I'm now in the demographic that you're going for. But so tell us, David, real quick. I want to talk to you about, ask you really a little bit about who you are. Please tell everybody a little bit of your history that kind of brings you to becoming your passion behind becoming the founder and CEO of AGEIST, and what that is. What is your mission with that company?
Well, Kyle, it was sort of an accident. I didn't really intend it. Some people, they go through life with plans. This really wasn't my plan. I'd had a pretty good career as a professional photographer. I'd worked all over the world. Lived in Paris, worked for all the magazines in New York, did a lot of advertising. And I just started to, when I was in my mid-50s, investigate what was going on with people my age. Like, why were they shown in the way that they were in, various media and advertising and stuff? And I thought, well, that's really weird. Like, I don't feel like those people. Let's investigate the people who are living like me and like you, Kyle, right? Like, you don't really look like you're, there's like anything terribly wrong with you and you need a bag of meds to get out the door in the morning, right?
Not that you would notice physically, no.
Well, all right. Those other kind of meds. So, we started investigating that and talking to people, and then we started this little newsletter, and I just follow my curiosity, and I like to see where things go, and just stay open. I think it's really good to have a plan, but I also find whenever I make these big plans, it's like Mike Tyson says, plans are great until you get punched in the face. And the plan's out the window. So yeah, we just started, and now it's now we got this kind of big global thing. It's nice.
Hey, it's really cool. I think so. As you were looking at advertising for this demographic, and I think that's kind of like you being a photographer, which, by the way, I like looking. I mean, you're a very talented photographer because I like going back and looking at the images you take, and you do a great job of capturing, I don't know, an authentic essence of somebody in your shots. And so here's being a lifelong professional photographer. And as you're now in this over 50, I think you're 60 now or right there. You're in that demographic and you're looking at the images that advertisers are using to speak to you and people in your demographic, and you're saying, wait a second, that's not me. Like, who are these old people, walking their bike down the beach with their golden retriever and all this stuff? That's not me, and that's not the people I know. So I think what you did was you just started looking, I want to find people that are doing something substantial or new or pivoting in their 50 plus years. And I think, what was it? Yeah, you said this beautifully. You said, we are in the greatest demographic disruption that the history of humankind has ever seen. And I think that was a beautiful way of putting it, because it's not only the number of people that are in this demographic, it's not only the financial wealth that this demographic has, and it's not only the wisdom that we have. Those three things are important to this demographic shift we're going to, but it is how the information and internet has utterly empowered us in a very amazing way. And you saw that. You took your passion in it, and you've created what I think is a beautiful movement. And you said something though that made me think. So I want to know more about it. And I've always liked that quote from Mike Tyson, where he says, you could have all the strategy and plans in the world until somebody punches you in the face. So tell me a little bit of what has punched you in the face, and what are some of the challenges you face when you started this? Because we all have dreams, and then you execute your dreams, and the whole process is never what you think it's going to be.
I actually, I know Mike. I photographed Mike for the cover of the New York Times Magazine, and Mike's great. He's also one of the strongest human beings on the planet. A very sweet guy, though. Just don't want him to hit you. But I think, it's stuff just happens, right? So, a lot of my journey with AGEIST has been about learning and being open to other people, having to learn. Like, I didn't go to business school, I didn't know any of that stuff. I didn't even know what Google Docs were. PowerPoint, I'd heard of it, I never used it. And now, having to learn a lot of technology, having to learn speaking in front of people, never done that before. Writing, never did that before. And it's understanding that we have a lot more capacity than we think we do. And that was really what AGEIST was pushing back against, this idea that there's something wrong with us, that we are disempowered, that we're fragile in some way, which is very similar to what your company does, helping this idea of staying strong. And part of being strong is understanding that we have the capacity to take on new tasks, to learn new skills, and to be stronger. And I think that there's, the greatest, a mental health professional told me once that every human being has 3 core delusions about themselves. They get I don't know where they came up with the number 3, but it's just there's 3 things that we all are entirely wrong about ourselves. And with me, I thought that my skill set was limited to photography. And I was never an A+ photographer, but I was a good B+, A-. And I thought that was my thing. That was all I could do. And that was a delusion. And because I learned that, I can do all these other things that I'm actually even better at than I was at photography. And I think that that's something that, as we get older, like understanding what are these delusions about our capacity. But the trick there, Kyle, is once you understand that you have the capacity to do something, if you're not in the place that you want to be, the responsibility is now on you, right? Because now you have the capacity. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, sometimes we don't want to know our delusions because it means that we have to take some sort of action now. And the last thing I need right now is another to-do list. So it's funny, Tony Robbins had interviewed Mike Tyson, and he said, of everybody I've ever interviewed, he was one of the most interesting. And he said he's a very sweet guy, he's a very interesting guy, but he's a very complex human being. You wouldn't know that about him. And I thought that was really interesting, listening to Tony. So it's interesting to hear that you knew him. I think it's also fascinating. You said there are 3 delusions that we all have about ourselves. And I think as we age, those delusions become more ingrained in our identity. And when I'm coaching my children or anybody I do business with or whatever, I tell them, be careful about what you choose to accept as a truth, because a truth becomes your identity. And then you end up, then you can defend your identity to your death. And it could be a very tragic thing if it's not a truth at all. It's just this made up thing. And it was cool. I mean, what you were saying there was just hitting me, because I've always put myself in a situation where I'm having to smash old paradigms and learn new things, as I've continued to grow as a businessman, as a father and a husband and all these things. So I think it's very astute. So your challenges, I think, were really interesting for me as I'm listening to it. And I see myself in your demographic, and you're saying, okay, well, I've had to learn these technologies and I had these challenges to try to figure out. I did not have a business background. So kudos, because to do something new is always laden with fear, but you did it. So what's working for you now? Like, where's this going? Like, what's actually happening as you're doing this?
Well, I have a tremendous willingness to fail. Like, you just got to say, like, things might work out, they might not. But you try your best. But I think that it's really, having this sense that, like, it's going to be okay. Like, Kyle, like probably 30% of what I do is wrong, or like I mess it up, or I don't do it so well.
Only
like
3?
30, dude. 30.
Oh, 30.
Maybe,
I was going to say, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, when I get to be your age, I want it to be down to 30. So good. It's good for you.
Well, but it's, the thing is, like, I just say to myself, well, okay. And part of this comes from being a photographer, right? So if I go and to be a photographer, you have to have this willingness and openness to just immediately respond, right? And just be like, oh, that's great. Let's go with that. With all awareness that whatever your idea is or what you're suggesting might be a total fail. But, like, so what? You take like 1,000 pictures, you just need one good one. So who cares about the other 999? Doesn't matter. And so I think that having that sort of sensibility of, like, people who try to be perfect, like, boy, that's like a recipe for, mental health disorder. I know I'm not perfect. I know I mess up all the time. The people on my staff, I don't know the answers to a lot of things. And I'm, like, totally fine with that.
I'm going to say something bold. I'm going to say that I suspect my hallucination is that your willingness to fail is probably one of your greatest superpowers. Would you agree?
Yeah, and I think I think if you look at, it's having that be okay, and having it be okay with yourself, and being like, oh, that didn't go so well. We can do better next time.
I think as I see people age, as I watch my parents age and other friends of mine who parents and age, and they're in their 70s and 80s now, and I look at them, that's actually a common theme I see of people as they get older. The more okay they are with failure, the more okay they are with not owning it or worrying about it. And I think that as I mentioned in the beginning, when you take this consolidation of wisdom and finances and the information internet age that we're in, and the ability to learn and do new things and all this kind of stuff, and you put all that together with an attitude of like, I don't care if I fail. I really don't care if anybody judges me. And that's kind of where I'm at in my life. I really just don't care. Like sometimes I'll just do something completely goofy around my kids or in front of their friends, not because I'm trying to get attention, just because I want to show them it's okay to be yourself, whatever that is. And they'll make fun of me, and then I'll make fun of me. And I'm like, they're like, Dad, how do you do that? I'm like, because it just doesn't matter. It's the Bill Murray. It just doesn't matter. And the sooner you can learn that, the sooner you're going to be free. And I think that is is really the mission. And you tell me this, maybe I've got this wrong because I've been studying you and AGEIST and what it is that you're doing. But I believe the mission is that you want to inspire people to live at a maximum level in life 2.0. And life 2.0 would be that after 50. Like one of the people you were interviewing, I believe, said, it takes a long time to learn how to live. But once you do, now it's time to go live, right? It's time to take that action. So what is the mission? Like you're creating a movement. What is the mission of your movement? And did I articulate it properly?
First, I want to say I hate failing. What I've learned to do is to just like, I hate it. I really don't like to fail, but when I do fail, I'm upset for a little bit, and then I can just let it go. Right? It's I really want to do like my best all the time, and I really want people to like me, and of course. But if they don't and I fail, it's just like, whatever, move on. So I'm not Yoda like that. Like I still get upset when I mess up, but I can let it go.
Well, you're still young.
I think so the mission of AGEIST is we present possibilities, and we say, if you want to do this, this is how you do it. You don't have to do it. You don't even have to want to do it. But I think it would be helpful to you to know that it exists. And and then we sort of present the whole sort of 360 ecosystem around that, which is, our main thing is we show people, we show examples. We say, this is what it looks like. This is what they do. They're people just like you and me. These are not Olympians. They haven't run an Academy Award. You wouldn't pick them out if in a crowd. But we say this is possible. Like you can do this if you want to. And then around that we help people stay in touch with culture and with science and travel and other things, food. We spend a lot of time on health and wellness. That's obviously a big thing with people our age. Just to say, like, it's possible. You can do it if you want it, but we're not. There's no judgment. You don't have to if you don't want to.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way of looking at it. I think just creating possibilities, and I think that's one of the things that we have that maybe our parents at this age didn't have, is that they didn't have the internet. Their possibilities were limited to their circles of influence and who they were spending their time with, which were pretty small numbers. So, I'm talking to you from Brentwood, Tennessee. You're in Utah, and we're having this conversation. And afterwards, we can get on the internet. We could access whatever information, talk to anyone we want to, anytime. It just wasn't available 20 years ago. or not very effectively 20 years ago. And so, so when our parents were 20, 30 years younger than they are today, they just didn't have it. So they didn't have it. And what you're presenting is you're taking a conglomeration or a consolidation of possibilities all in one place. And when I go through and I read the stories that you present, and I get inspired when you hear about somebody in their 50s going and getting their PhD and then going to Spain and starting an architectural firm or something like that. It's just, bam. While it seems big, having now 51 years old and having lived it so many times, I know that accomplishing massive things is about just making small decisions every day over a long period of time towards a goal or a dream. And then just one day you look up and like, oh, hey, I achieved another dream. Didn't seem that hard, I guess. It was hard, and moments were hard, but it was just a little decisions every day. And so presenting those possibilities, I think, is a really cool idea, because I think when you start to get to 50 and 60, you're looking back, look at all the things I did and look at all the things I experienced, and then, but forgetting to look forward. Like, God, there's a lot of life left on this stick. There's so many things being done now to make life better and more exciting for us in this age where we're at right now that we could take advantage of. So I honor you in that journey. So where do you see yourself in 5 years from now? Like, paint me a picture. Where's this? What are you doing in 5 years with this?
With what's going on with COVID, things, there was like a whole bunch of stuff that we had in the works that was like ready to go. And, like the rest of the world, everybody had plans, and then plans have been adjusted. So, I think that really where we're going here is we're becoming a voice of authority with a certain group of people, and it's not everyone. There's a lot of people that we're not right for, and that's fine. I think that we're moving into, we're doing a lot of, we're figuring out how to use Zoom in a way to turn it into more of an online connection experience, similar to what, we have these big in-person events that we do that people really like.
Right.
And like, how do we do that in a digital way? It's harder. It requires a lot of thought. So, we're working on that. We're starting to scale those up. We're moving into other medium, into podcasting and video. There's a book in the works. There are some people who we're working with on product stuff. We'll see. That's gotten pushed back because of the COVID thing. But I think that everything has, right?
Yeah. So, like, what would happen in 5 years for you to know that this movement that you're starting had an impact?
Things have changed rather dramatically in the last 5 years. So when we started, and we told people what we were doing, they like ran from us. They thought we were like, like a disease to be avoided. And it's not like that now. So the culture has moved, and I think we were probably a little early. And I think the culture is moving. Are we part? I think we're part of it. I don't claim that we're able to move the culture. That's a Nike move the culture. Like, I can't do that yet. I can't do that. But I think that we're kind of in the mix, right, of what's going on, and we speak with an authentic voice. And I think people increasingly look to us for authority, for validation, and I see that increasing. Like, what my personal role is in that is unclear. Like, I'm a very reticent face of the brand. I did not set out to be Oprah. But increasingly as we go along here, it's clear that I am the personification of this, and there's probably going to be more and more of that. I mean, how do you feel about that? Are you how closely is your personality aligned with OsteoStrong?
So that's a really good question. And first, I want to say that I think that you are going to be a change agent, and I think you are. It is a movement that you can definitely be a part of. Every movement needs a face and needs a person behind it. Osteo Strong and Kyle Zagrodzky are the number one world authority in skeletal strength conditioning without pharmaceuticals. And I am most certainly going to change the culture in a dramatic way globally. There are several large diseases that impact people throughout life that are crushing our medical system. It's heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, osteoporosis, these kind of things. OsteoStrong is in a unique position to be able to address several of those diseases in a way that people will do it. And the reason why I think that it will be, and you have to be the face of your movement. I'm like you, and I think you said this earlier. I'm an introvert. I like reading books. I like being at home with my kids. I don't, I'm not this guy that goes out there and has to take my shirt off and show my muscles, say, look, you could do it, you're 50, all right? It's not the kind of person I am. I'm a much more private individual than that. I'm a thinker and a strategist and all these kind of things. But the truth be known is when it comes to business, strategy, execution, I'm a badass, and I have this long lineage of things that I have done and accomplishments I've done, and I do not tout it. But the truth of the matter is, and this is one of the things that I think you realize, is that people over 50, we have several superpowers. One of which is we care less about failing. We don't like it, but it doesn't impact us as much. But I think we also underestimate the experience that we've had and how it could contribute to the world. And we have a responsibility not to bring forth that experience because we have an ego we need to serve. We need to bring forth that experience because we have people that we can enlighten and inspire and lift up. And like you said, I mean, the idea of AGEIST is really to let people know the possibilities. And when I look at what I'm doing with Osteo Strong, and how my life has radically changed because of the physical freedom gift I have given myself. And I didn't even know I was going to do it. Like if I showed you my before picture and today, I was, 30 pounds heavier than I am today. I had bad posture. I had joint and back pain. And it's not that I didn't know how to eat better or work out. I couldn't work out because my chronic joint and back pain was so bad. I had a kyphosis and bad posture because being in that position was less painful than holding my shoulders back. I need to let the world know the possibility of what's out there, the freedom that's so easily attained with just 7 to 10 minutes of sweat-free effort once a week. You could have your strength back. You could be free, but it needs a voice. People follow people. They don't follow brands. And being followed isn't about serving your ego. Being followed is about inspiring possibilities. And I think I'm probably more excited about your mission than you are, because what Osteo Strong does, it enables you to be free. What you do is bigger than Osteo Strong, because it is the vision of what you do when you get that freedom. I'll do my job. I will make people physically free and capable, and then you could do your job and you inspire people to do something at that next level over 50. And I want to support you in your mission to do that, because I think it's a beautiful thing, and it's something I want to contribute to and shine light wherever I can to lead people to something extraordinary. I think for me, when I look at your vision for AGEIST, for me, success would be seeing people in their 60s or 70s that did something extraordinary that they wouldn't have necessarily done without being shown the way. Not that you want to take take responsibility for it or credit for it. Just, when people see the possibilities, their eyes are open. And if they're not held back by weakness, joint and back pain, weak bones, and all that crap, then they're like going, you know what, I have my strength, I have my balance, I'm not in pain, I'm going to do it.
Well, yeah. Thank you for that. That is very kind of you. My friend Naveen Jain said that he told me, like, you can only do what you can imagine. Like, people's greatest limitation is their imagination. And what we do is we just expand the imagination. We say, can you imagine yourself here, any part of this? If so, I've done my job. But I do think that we sort of think of this, the classic Maslow pyramid, right? And so AGEIST is sort of like up there somewhere towards the top of the pyramid. But below us is health, wellness, and a sense of physical capacity. So if I feel weak, Kyle, and I've had, like, I used to surf a lot, and what happened for my surfing is I got these problems in my joints. So and for like a year, my left arm didn't really work. I mean, I couldn't really open a door without a lot of pain. And what that did is it caused me to feel vulnerable. I felt fearful in the world because, like taking the suitcase out of the luggage rack in the top was like, that really hurt. Like pulling the suitcase on the sidewalk, that hurt. And so now I feel vulnerable and I feel fragile. And that affects my mental state. So if I feel fragile and I feel vulnerable, I'm unwilling to take risks of all kinds, right? It's not just physical stuff. It's like new people could be threatening, new ideas, new books, new whatever. So my threshold of what I'm willing to risk becomes much lower, and my world gets compressed. So I would actually say that what you do is more the base of the pyramid. Like, that's critical. One of the commonalities of all AGEIST people is that, maybe one of our delusions is we think we're going to have this long health span. And if I think I have a health span, I'm going to behave in an entirely different way than if I think there's something critically wrong with me, or if I'm in pain, or these things are crushing, and they really impact people's emotional well-being. And I know this from my own experience, how I behaved. And, now my arms don't hurt, and I'm strong, and there's a lot of crazy stuff I don't do anymore. But like, I know how my mind and my worldview expanded once my arm didn't hurt anymore.
Your story is my story. And I think that as having been through it, so I was a guy that had a lot of joint and back pain for decades. And as I explained earlier, and one of the things that I noticed after 6 or 7 sessions at OsteoStrong, most of my joint and back pain was gone. And what happened shortly after that is my emotions changed, and my outlook for the future improved, and I saw a longer life ahead of me. And these aren't even things I was articulating in my mind. They just happened organically as the pain went away, as my strength returned, my vision for my future improved. The verse from the Bible, my people perish for they have no vision. If you don't have a vision for your future, then you're dead. And I think that I've never really said this out loud because I haven't found a positive way to say it, because I don't want to scare people. I'm not about scaring people to taking action, but I'm going to say it now, which is I believe that any type of physical pain that is chronic is the beginning of death, because of what it does to our energy, our emotion, and our outlook. And having been through that and noticed how I changed has been such an inspirational driver for me in what OsteoStrong does, because it directly addresses pain, fear of breaking, fear of falling, improving the strength. So strength is just sort of the sexy icing on the cake, right? If you can deal with people's joint and back pain and their balance returns, then strength is now I can do things, right? And then they don't feel held back. To me, it's a tear to my eye when I hear somebody who was afraid to leave the house, afraid to travel. And then after 6 months at OsteoStrong, they're flying to Europe and hiking or going and spending 2 days at Disney World with grandkids and having no joint and back pain and saying, gosh, if I would have even thought of doing that 6 months ago, I would have just laughed at the whole idea. And now they're doing it. And so for me, success is people being free to live the life they want. For you and what your mission is, success is seeing people take that freedom and then taking advantage of the possibilities. And I think that is an exciting sort of two sides of the same coin that we are. I'm the foundation of the pyramid, but once you have the foundation, then you want to build it high and do something with it, right? And I think that's where the excitement is. And I want to enable as many people in this demographic. I want to see people do incredible things. I want to do incredible things in my life now. And I didn't have this vision 7-8 years ago. I mean, I was 30 pounds heavier and a lot of joint and back pain. And I remember telling my wife, I said, I wasn't saying this to get a love or attention or woe was me. I just told her, I said, I don't think I'm going to be much past 60, 65. Because I'm already, 30 pounds overweight and I'm joint and back pain and it hurts to exercise. Even going out and walking hurts my knees and my back. I was like 49 years old and I'm 50. I wasn't 49. I was about 39 years old. And I felt that way. And I thought, if I feel this way at 39, I'm screwed. And I don't want to be this way. I don't know how to deal with the pain. And when it went away, it was like, okay, let's go. It's life 2.0.
I just want to say here that one of the things that's important here is the personal responsibility and action. Like you took responsibility for where you were and you did something about it, right? So not everybody does that. A lot of people, they'll just, they're like, oh, well, I guess this is it. I'm just going to accept this. I can't do anything about it. That's one of their delusions. They can do something about it. They just choose not to for whatever reason. And I think that, people have to, like they have to go to osteo. If you have to go, you have to take the action to walk into an OsteoStrong. Like people, with my people, like me, I'm not going to get any stronger if I just sit here. I got to do something about it, right?
I'm a business guy, and one of the things that I've always been attracted to is what causes people to take an action in anything that they do. And when I had my wife and I owned several gyms back in the 90s and early 2000s. And what was always fascinating to me is there's a lot of evidence out there, clinical research and all these kind of things that exercise is good for you, right? No one's going to argue that exercise is bad for you. In the United States, about 3 or 4% of Americans will actually use a gym membership regularly. Now, in my opinion, as long as fitness has been around, that's a failure. Not necessarily a failure of the gym industry, because the gym industry has tried to innovate and do a lot of things to help people and to keep them engaged. But it's a failure to misunderstand what drives human beings. And Tony Robbins used to say, at our core human beings, he still says it, at our core, human beings are pleasure seekers and pain avoiders. But there's one step below that is a biological explanation of that, in that we are calorie consumers and calorie conservers. And you can't fight biology. And human beings are always going to conserve calories or consume them. When there's an abundance of food around, we're consume it. If we don't have to work for it, we won't. And so when I started OsteoStrong, one of the things that I really liked about it is you burn minimal calories at an OsteoStrong session. People don't get fatigued. They don't get sweaty. And it may shock you to know that almost 100% of our customers come in every week to do their session. And to me, that's when I knew the model was going to work. Yes, the results had to be delivered. Yes, they had to be real. Yes, all those things. It had to be a real thing. but it didn't matter if people wouldn't do it, right? You can create the best invention in the world to do the most amazing thing. And if no one will utilize it, then it's a failure. And so when I say that, the gym industry is a failure, is not in what they do doesn't work. It's a failure in that human beings don't want to do it because it goes against their biology. Now, the reason why I bring this up is when you said, yeah, people have to do something about it, as me as an entrepreneur, that I'm a sustainability driven entrepreneur, and that for me, it has to be something real. It has to get me excited. And I want to leave behind a legacy of helping people. I don't want to open up a chain of donut shops, right? I think I'd be a brilliant donut shop owner, but I just don't want to do it because I don't think that would help humanity. And so I want to do something that people will actually do. And it is my challenge as a business owner, as I think about this biohacking era we're in. And what is biohacking? Biohacking is essentially trying to get your biology to do the work for you in any given area, be it physical, mental, whatever. And so it's like, oh, how do I get my body to do the work so I don't have to? What OsteoStrong does is it triggers a mechanism in your central nervous system to get your body to build bone, muscle, ligament, and tendon tissue so you don't flip and have to. So we just trigger it and it does all the work. And then a few months go by and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm substantially stronger and I have joint and back pain. I don't feel like I'm doing anything. That to me was a victory, not because I'm the genius behind the system. I'm just the guy that figured out this is what human beings want because their biology demands it. And so we as business people have to sit around and think of, okay, people want a better life. They're not going to burn calories to do it. How do we trigger their bodies to do the work for them and create a business that makes them want to do it? And that is the challenge. And that's where my gift and my passion resides, as I sit there and think, how do I love on people in such a way that lets them know that they can do this, they want to do this, and they don't fight it.
Right on.
Yeah, that's what we do, baby. So listen, as you continue to embark on this journey, this mission, this movement that I want to support you in, and we show people these possibilities, what is it that you want to leave people with in this podcast and inspire them today? Like, where would they go to be continually inspired and to show be seen possibilities by what it is that you're doing in your brand?
Well, you need to come and look at us. You just type in the word AGEIST. It's a word you're not going to forget. Google that. We're the first thing that comes up. Sign up for our newsletter. That's our principal way of communicating with people. And I think, remember that a lot of the messaging of what you think about yourself, it may not be true. You can accept it as true. I don't have a problem with that. But you may have a whole lot of skill sets and a whole lot of capacity that's in there that you don't know about because you haven't tried it yet. And if you do try it, you may discover something.
This is so beautiful. Tony Robbins says one fear we all share is that we're not good enough.
Yeah.
I think that we get good at a few things and then we cling to those things and then tell ourselves that we're bad at everything else. So it keeps us from wanting to try new things. And I honor you and I honor the mission of what you're trying to do because it is about possibilities. It's about creating a vision for your future and doing something substantial with the life that you've been given. And I think that we've got a lot of life left on this stick. We're going to live longer and longer. And the more and more we embrace these biohack technologies like OsteoStrong and other stuff that's available to us now, we have the ability to be extraordinary with the experience and all the things that we've done at this age. And I think it's a most remarkable time to be alive. And I'm so excited about it. And I'm so happy to have got to meet you, David. And I look forward to seeing you and getting to spend time with you. And I look forward to supporting you in your your quest and your mission of your company and AGEIST, and I want to do more to help you. So I love it. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today, David.
I just want to quickly say, I've tried your machines. I was a skeptic, and I love them. I think it's great technology. You're not paying me to say that. I'm just saying I tried them. They're great. I'm a huge fan.
Thank you so much. And I think that's totally natural. Everybody's a skeptic, and you should be. If anybody says, then I'll be honest with you, it's 60 seconds of effort 1 day per week, and you're not going to break a sweat. You're not going to get fatigued. You're not going to get sore the next day, but you're going to have these extraordinary results. You wouldn't be human if you weren't skeptical of everything I just said, which to me makes it exciting, because I love it when people pivot from skepticism to belief because they experienced it. So it makes my job super fun. So thank you, David. I love you, and I'm really just glad you were able to take the time with us today, and I appreciate your mission, brother.
Thank you so much, Kyle. It's always great talking with you.
Yeah, you bet. Take care, David. Bye.
I know.
Well, that wraps up another episode of Unbreakable Me podcast. So just having David Harry Stewart on the call with us today was an honor and a blessing for me. I hope it was for you. I love his heart. I love his passion. And I think what he's done with his life of being spending most of his life as a professional photographer and then pivoting into a movement to show everybody the possibilities after 50. He's embodied very much the embodiment of what his mission of the AGEIST is. And I think that just doing something with Life 2.0 after 50, at OsteoStrong, we want to enable your physical freedom to do whatever you want. And what AGEIST does is AGEIST shows you the possibilities. So go to AGEIST, check out their website, be inspired, and learn possibilities of what you can do with your 2.0 life. We hope you enjoyed this version of the Unbreakable Me podcast. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.